Hi everyone. So in the past 1 or 2 years or so, we have seen a lot of development with artificial intelligence. And of course, everyone is trying to get onto the AI bandwagon, and there's a lot of adoption of different agentic capabilities everywhere actually, be in business, finance, and in cybersecurity where I'm closest to, right? There's a lot of talk about how to get agentic security operations. So today I want to talk about the multi-pathway approach that Microsoft is taking towards agentic security operations. So this mainly pertains to firstly the security copilot that Microsoft offers as a product. There is a pre-built AI assistant that helps incident responders to quickly look at incidents, analyze alerts, and to perform certain security tasks. So that's for security copilot. And recently, with the launch of Sentinel Data Lake, right, there's also MCP servers that is developed and offered as a service, a hosted MCP server for customers that looks at Sentinel Data Lake data as well as perform some of the Defender triage, incident triage within Defender itself. So first up, let's look at Security Copilot as a quick recap. So within Defender itself, this is the page that most defenders will be very familiar with. The incident page where incidents from various sources are being listed all together in one single pane of glass. And for alerts coming from different sources can also be synthesized if let's say they are on the same time frame, or similar indicators have been seen across these alerts. They will be fused together via Defender's automatic correlation, right? To put them into some sort of like a multi-stage incident, which in this case, this particular incident actually, for custom detection, this actually means the data that is coming into the Sentinel SIM, as well as it got correlated into Defender for endpoint, in terms of the antivirus as well as the EDR detections. So clicking into this incident, but the Defender incident response page actually is quite holistic in the sense that it fuses in the security alerts, put everything into a timeline and enable a graph-like investigation. But this can sometimes be still quite overwhelming because you can see that there's a lot of activities that is going on. This quickly become quite overwhelming for the incident responder to even get started to try to figure out what is going on. So that's where Security Copilot comes in, right? Because Security Copilot is one of the first few initiatives for agentic security operations. So very quickly, it would generate the incident summary on what is actually happening involving multiple attack kill chain stages, etc. And it tells you very quickly how it began, the brute force attack that it began with, the suspicious payload, persistence that is happening, the discovery that is running within the environment. And it goes one more step further to provide containment steps like isolating individual device, and to some extent, some of them would show you like isolate the users if a user identity was actually seen in the incident. So that's for Security Copilot. So other than the embedded experience over here, right, Security Copilot also come with a standalone experience where the same incident can be summarized here and running in a conversation style where you can summarize, really talk about the entities, analyze some of the IP address. You can see that all the files that is seen within then the incident itself is all listed over here. And you can even check like whether the IP addresses are suspicious across with Microsoft Defender threat intelligence. So that's really in the gist what Security Copilot can do. But of course, there's a lot of feedback that Security Copilot, while powerful, in terms of customization, right? Of course, when you have a very mature security operations framework, you want to have your intricate workflow that connects to various different tools, or even do things like multi-agent security workflow. So that is where MCP server actually comes into play. So for MCP server itself, right, there's actually quite a few ways to use MCP server, which of course MCP is just a standardized pluggable interface to your data, which in this case is security data. Some of the common noted way to use Microsoft Security MCP server is actually with Visual Studio Code. Some of my colleagues have actually already covered on this as well, but I will go through briefly. Then you can use this with Microsoft's Foundry agent, which previously was called Azure AI or Azure AI Foundry. And you can, being a third-party compatible open source standard, right, you can even use the MCP servers with third-party agentic frameworks. So for a first start, let's see how the MCP works actually in action. So for here, based on the time of release of the video, we have 3 MCP servers that are available. The first one is on the data exploration one that runs queries against Sentinel Data Lake, which would help to do things like vibe hunting. You can talk to your data just via the chat interface. And Security Copilot agent is also one that is coming along, that you can create Security Copilot agents with the MCP tool, which of course brings back to the story that it's not exactly an either or thing. It's more like you can do it multi-pathway approach. You can run customized ones with MCP, or you can still continue to use your Security Copilot to build on the fact that it's already a pre-built framework for you to run security tasks. And what that is upcoming would be the security, the incident triage capabilities, incident triage collections that looks at Defender incidents. So for in this video itself, we will look at some of the data exploration demo. So let's quickly zoom into this. So I select the tools such that we are just using data exploration. Within the data exploration collection itself, it comes with various tools. Most of the time, we will actually be looking at listing workspaces and running query on the data lake. There are some useful ones like analyzing user entity and URL entity as well. Let's take a quick look like the previous incident that we were looking at. Let's say check incident number. What I have within my Visual Studio is that I'm actually logged into my GitHub account. So even with GitHub Copilot free version, we would be able to run this. So the tool actually prompts you for approval. It will preview what query is going to run, what are the workspace ID. So every workspace that is connected to Sentinel Data Lake has a workspace ID, which in my agent instructions I actually selected a default workspace ID already. So I'm going to allow this. Essentially, what we would see is that you would see a very similar point of view, because ultimately the backend data is the same. I will be able to tell you exactly what happened, what are some of the items that has been seen here. Let's look at what are the IP addresses observed in the related alerts. So with the query itself, it would subsequently query the lake for security alerts table to extract all the alerts and look at the IP address. So instead of formulating the KQL itself, you can actually chat with your data. And of course, in this example, I only connected the data exploration collection. If you were to connect to other MCP servers, of course, you can pivot and use this data and flow along with other tools as well. So that is for Visual Studio Code, because some of the security operators might actually have Visual Studio and is using GitHub Copilot at the same time. So this provides a very convenient way for them to do things like vibe hunting, just to try to figure out what is going on. And coming up next, we will look at how this can be used together with Microsoft Foundry as well. So using with Microsoft Foundry, this is the new Foundry interface. Let's quickly look at the agents. I will not go through on how we are building agents today. I'll probably follow up with another video to talk about how we can do that. So in the instructions itself, this is the same instructions that I've given to the Visual Studio Code. And in terms of tools, I've connected the Sentinel data exploration tool. So I won't dive down on how this is configured. Let's look at what it actually runs. So I'm going to just run the same prompt with the Foundry agent, and as expected, of course, it would return very similar results because it looks at the same set of data that is provided to them via Sentinel data lake. So as expected, you would have very similar results. So one point to note over here is that within Visual Studio Code using the GitHub Copilot, I'm actually using Claude Sonnet 4.5. So this is also one other advantage with using MCP servers other than using using your customized workflow, right? You can choose the model of your choice to reason over the data. Within AI Foundry itself, I'm actually using GPT 5.2 chat. Both of them provides very similar response. So let's go to the last part where it gets really interesting to integrate MCP servers with third-party agentic framework. So what I have here is a popular agentic framework that is actually called N8N. I saw some Reddit folks actually call it Nathan, so I'm going just trying to call it Nathan as well. It's quite pretty cool workflow runner that is open source. There's also a paid version for this as well. So using this particular agent that I configured, it has the same set of agent instructions that is provided to both the Visual Studio Code as well as AI Foundry. It connects to the fun fact here is that it connects to the Azure Open AI model, right? That is actually provided through the same resource in Foundry. So it's just another way to interface with your LLM. Then what there is extra over here that I provided to the agent is VirusTotal API and Outlook Send. So for the Sentinel MCP, I already pre-configured to attach to the agent itself. Of course, you will be able to use with Microsoft's MDTI as well, but just to showcase the fact that if you use with third-party agent framework, you can use any tool that you would like. So I'm going to try connecting to VirusTotal API as well. So let's ask the same question of check incident 1665. So what I actually like about N8N is that the fact that you would be able to see in action wherever that is running. It shows you which node is running, what action is it actually taking. And there we have the answer. So if let's say okay, so let's take a look at the output overview first, which of course we're already seeing similar output that is coming from Security Copilot VS Code AI Foundry. Ultimately, it's the same set of data that they are reasoning to. And if for whatever reason, if your AI agent configuration were to fail, you will be able to actually to dive down each Sentinel MCP step to say to see like what was the query that was run and what was the output. So this becomes very easy to troubleshoot exactly which point did it fail. So what I can also do is, let's take one step further, get the serve IP addresses in the incident. Let's be a bit more precise. The related alerts. So this is where it would use the incidents alert pane. It will be able to see it, because it's an LLM after all, right? It will be able to synthesize the query and then join and get all the IP addresses and tell you what the observed IP is. So this is where the fun begins. Let's try to ask further cross-reference the IP address with VirusTotal. So you can see that for each IP address, it actually makes subsequent VirusTotal API call to check. Let's click one of them and see. So this is exactly what it happens, right? You will call the API and see what is the response and what are the reputation, the entire list that is returned from VirusTotal. Give it off. It looks like it's completed all the API call and it is going to synthesize the response. So it's a very convenient way, right? Because previously, we saw that the incident had 30 plus alerts. It's quite unhumanly possible to check each of them for the reputation. Of course, there are also in back not too long ago, we had the SAW era where we look at using SAW playbook to enrich. But this is yet another way for you to quickly see what is actually happening. So it listed those that are known malicious and summarize how many engines flag this as malicious, what are the ones that are clean and benign, etc. And of course, being an LLM, it tries to be helpful and goes into recommendations on exactly what it can do. So another part of using a third-party workflow, right? But another point to note here is that depending on the input, the agent actually routed to appropriate nodes. So we saw in the previous output that we were asking for the related IP address. It actually uses the Sentinel MCP node. But when we are just cross-referencing the IP addresses, it doesn't use the MCP node. It will just go to VirusTotal. So being a third-party framework, of course, we can integrate with Outlook as well. So let's say I want to send this as a report using the Outlook send tool. So you can see the Outlook send has already been run, formulated and sent the report. Let's see how good is the report that was sent out. Let's see the agent actually sent this across as an email. Quite gracefully run, quite gracefully done. So that's all for today's video. We've seen that these days, instead of running a SAW workflow, we would actually be running most likely agentic workflow in the future. This is I personally believe that this is just a preview of what's to come, because a lot of definitions of how agents are supposed to be designed, because this itself is a very simple agent, single agent that is attached with all the tools. Of course, then there's a couple of ways to break this up. Or instead of using a chat response, you can even use email or SAW trigger response to start the agent, configure more agents underneath to make it a multi-agent workflow, and then ultimately just even automatically close the incident if you're confident enough of the workflow that you have configured. So there's a lot more that is coming. So let me know what do you think about this video. I'll probably consider making more content of maybe how I built this, how it runs with Foundry, or just how to use the MCP server in general and how it works in general. And I will see you in the next one.